Thank you to tuning in to Real Talk. My name is Herb Hudson. I'm hosting today in absence of Reverend Henry Brown, and my co-host today is Jack Wentland, and we are also honored to have here in the studio today candidate for mayor, Mr. J. Stan McCauley. One of the things I'd like to say to our Hartford audience is that we've had almost 10 days without any shootings or violence in this city. So we hope we can keep that up and keep the neighborhoods quiet. We know that the mayor has a special program with the Chief of Police Roberts that they've been walking around the neighborhoods, and we hope that that has made an impact. But as I said today, we are here to talk with J. Stan McCauley, candidate for mayor for the city of Hartford. And my co-host Jack Wentland, we will be fielding questions to him.
Thank you, Herb. It's always nice to join the third Monday of the month team here with you.
Yes, glad to have you always. And I'd like to say thank you for tuning in to we represent Mothers United Against Violence. You have seen our visuals throughout the city, and we are doing our best to tamp down the violence in this city and let the residents know that we will always be out there in the streets fighting to stop the violence in the street so that our children can have a safe place to live in this city. So again, we want to also talk to Mr. J. Stan McCauley to ask him questions about what he thinks are priorities and why he's running for mayor. Welcome, Mr. McCauley.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the program.
Pleasure to have you.
It's good to see you guys again. And anytime I have an opportunity to come and visit the station and be on your program is a good time.
Okay. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Always glad to have you. We were wondering, thinking when I'm out in the street in the public, and people ask me, why doesn't Mr. McCauley, why doesn't he run for, let's say, city council? And you're young, you're intelligent, you've got a lot of years ahead of you.
Well, I think that's the conventional perception. I'm 51 years old. I don't know if that qualifies me as young in the minds of some. I think a lot of people think I'm in my 30s. I'm 51. If I wait 10 years to go through the loops, I'll be 61. And there's a couple of reasons why people will ask that question. I would contend that anyone that asks that question is not your average person on the street. They may run into you on the street, but this is someone who is generally pretty connected to the political system here in Hartford and pretty much knows what's going on politically. That question generally comes up from individuals who are somewhat uncomfortable with the fact that I am now a Democrat, and as such, can I be trusted to carry forth the Kool-Aid of the Democratic Party? Same thing was said when I was a member of the Republican Party. Can I be trusted to carry the Kool-Aid of the Republican Party? When I was a member of the Working Families Party, can he be trusted to carry the Kool-Aid of the working? The answer to the question is no. I can be trusted to do what's best for the people of Hartford. I'm not trying to be a good party member. I'm trying to be a good mayor. I'm trying to be a good candidate and a good servant of the people. The apparatus in which that is done is through the political party system. And right now, the Democratic Party in Hartford is the party that is in control of the mechanisms which govern our city. And so it's sort of like hiring a party planner for your event. The party planners and the event planners work for you. It's your party. You're the one having the affair. And when they don't do what you like, you tell them, look, you're fired, get out. It's not that easy with party politics, though. We all know that the power of the government is rested or vested in the hands of the people. We're the government. Not the Republican Party, not the Democratic Party, not the People's Party, not the Green Party, not the Working Family Members Party. We are the government. And so whatever party is in power should be there to look out for the interests of the people.
Yes.
And so the question comes forth from folks who feel I need to pay my dues, get vested. The other question will come forth by people who are challenged by the fact that I'm running. I know, they know, polls show that we are very strong in this race. And so for a long time there was this issue of, you know, if Stan will just run for city council. If I run for city council, that opens up the field for everybody else to run for mayor. No one is asking that question about any other candidate.
Okay.
Only me. All right? Eddie Perez never served on city council. At the time that Sean Wooden was in the lead, in the minds of many, but never in reality, he had never served on city council.
Okay.
So, you know, Mayor Mike never served on city council. Why is there a need for Stan to serve on city council in order for him to run for mayor? Okay, so the people don't think that. Party members and politicos that are part of the machine are fielding that question, and you know, it's a legitimate question, but it generally is a smokescreen.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
That should answer those questions that come to us, Herb.
Yeah,
huh?
the double standard.
I wouldn't call it a double standard. It is a political, it's a tactical political move that is predictable out of the 101 book. And so, you know, it's built on a supposition that I don't know anything about politics. So, you know, I guess I'm supposed to step down and say, oh, you know, that's a good idea. You know, I could come on council and maybe make a difference.
Okay, it's
You
a
know,
ploy.
it's a ploy.
It's a ploy.
Yeah.
Okay.
A follow-up to that, Stan, might be this. Is enough being done to register folks to vote, and what more can be done? The primary is the 13th. You're not running in that, I understand. You don't need
Right. We're not running in the primary out of respect, in some part, to the Democratic Party. I understand and do realize I am a newcomer. I am not going to primary the decision of the party. I will run in the general election. We've collected plenty of signatures. We're out there collecting signatures so that we can touch base with people, and we have, you know, we know who all those people are, and we've got great support across the board and across the city. And so we will run in the general election on November the 8th. So we're not going to primary. We'll let the you know, people who've been members of the party for a long time duke that out, and then we'll wait to see who our opponent will be. Let's look at it that way. Having said that, the primary is a very important election because the party votes for who's going to represent it. The inner circle of the Hartford Democratic Party has fielded who they believe would be best candidates, and now we have a primary coming up. It's important that people register. It's important that they take part in the primary if they're members of the Democratic Party. There won't be a Republican primary, and the Working Families doesn't work that way, so you don't have to worry about that. But in Hartford's a Democratic town, and so the Democratic primary usually targets what our government is going to look like for the next 4 years. So it is critically important that people come out and they vote for their city council people, that they vote for the treasurer, and if there are 2 individuals or 3 individuals that are running for mayor, pick who you want to run against me.
Okay.
And also to speak to it's critically important that people register, and you can never do enough to get people to register to vote. To me, it's an ongoing educational process where people have to understand that voting is the key to a good quality of life. If you don't vote, I can almost say this without fear of contradiction. If you want to see where quality of life in this city has the worst or is the worst, it is in areas where people don't vote. So your vote is directly proportioned to the standard of the quality of life that you have in the services that you receive. If you're living in a part of the community that is pretty much downtrodden and spit upon, the chances are that the majority of people in that community don't vote. Okay? When you vote, you have a voice, and when you have a voice, people listen to you, particularly those in political circles, because you are their lifeblood.
You're speaking about especially those who get elected are going to pay attention to where their votes came from?
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. In fact, in times like this, you don't even need to vote. All you need to do is register. You want to have power? Any group in Hartford that wants to flex political muscle right now, go out and register 300 people in the next week. And trust me when I tell you, you'll have everybody's attention.
That's good.
Across the board.
I want to ask you another question. Of all the problems that we have here in Hartford, one of the basic ones here is educational department. We have to bring in white students from the suburbs to boost our graduation rate, but yet the black and brown youngsters who are falling out of, or dropping out of high school for whatever reason, how would you address that, and how would you fix that if you were mayor?
Well, you know, the mayor only has a certain amount of leverage when it comes to the actions at the Board of Education, which is why the previous administration, not the current, but the previous administration, inserted themselves as chairman of the Board of Ed. The mayor gets to appoint members to the Board of Education, and as such, he can affect policy through his appointees. He gets to appoint 5, and then there's 4 that are elected at large. Having said that, I might take some issue with the notion that we have to have white students to boost our graduation rate. We have an integration program that is in play as a result of Chef v. O'Neill. So a lot of this stuff is court mandated. I think that what you are seeing, or what you refer to, might be the windfall of such an action. But really what has to happen is we need to desegregate our schools, or break up the pockets or the isolation of certain racial groups because of the educational gap. I guess the theory is that white students have better resources, and those resources are out in the hinterlands, so we need to have access to the same resources. All right. I am under the impression that schools can be good wherever they are if you have quality teachers and you have good leadership and you hold people accountable. And so if you want good teachers and good leadership, once again, you have to be actively engaged and involved, and you have to stand up and have some backbone and some courage. A lot of parents go into schools and they feel intimidated, so they back down. Whereas the fact of the matter is, you may not be an educational expert, but you're the parent. So you have a vested interest, and you have better insight over your child and his or her needs than any teacher, whatever their degree may be. And so you need to go in there as the chief advocate. And if you had more parents doing that and demanding what they want and what they need, things might be a little bit different now. In directly answering your question, I intend to hold members charged with educating Hartford's young people accountable and feet to the fire. If it was up to me, I'd do one of those corporate things and walk through the school building firing people and let my corporation counsel take care of the fallout. I did. When people were getting off the boat and brought into this country, I hate to make it this raw, but I would cut to the chase. When people of color were swinging from trees, strange fruit, being hung for reading, they learned how to read. Became senators, congressmen in the United States. Built great cities and towns, well, not cities, but great towns. Towns that were so economically self-sufficient and so envious of other people that they would burn the town down. And you mean to tell me, with all of our technology, with all of our access to everything we have, students can't learn to read and write? It's unacceptable. Education is a function of the one, meaning me, you.
But
You have to desire to learn. And I think part of teaching is inspiring the student to learn. Everyone that's in teaching is not a teacher.
Yes.
For many, it's just a job. And so we need to get good teachers, and we need to support those teachers with policies and funding that's going to make a difference, and then demand outcome. And those that don't deliver that outcome need to look for another line of work.
And I see our young, especially African American males, they've lost interest in school by the time they get to the 5th grade. They've already given up on the system. And because of their peers who are out in the street, either drug dealers or gangbangers, a lot of times it becomes, just for survival, they've got to go with the people on the street rather than the teachers in the school.
Are you talking about 5th graders?
5th graders. I'm saying they've lost interest. There was a book on it where young people, if a teacher can't inspire a 5th grader to covet education, then there's something seriously wrong with the teacher. And I say, our young men that are, 16 and 17, a lot of them look at education as if it were a curse.
Well, education is obviously not a curse. I would not buy into the notion that everyone at 5th grade is African American or of descent or Latino child is somehow giving up on the educational process. You take these people who so-called giving up on the educational process and you take them to Paris Island, in 6 weeks we make them war ready and drop them out of airplanes, and they'll know how to operate laptops and guns in a hostile environment. The idea that people can't learn is a misnomer, and it creates a crisis. And if you have a crisis of that magnitude, then there's only one answer, and that's government. All right? You can switch this around. I bet you if I give you $8 million right now and charged you with getting a group of individuals, you'll find a way to teach them.
Okay.
And they'll learn real well.
This is probably a good time to remind everyone that we are looking for a response. Maybe some teachers and even 5th graders would like to call in at 524-8920.
Are you smarter than a 5th grader?
Good. It's a good point.
It's a good point because too many. It almost seems like our young people today feel if it's a curse to get an education.
Well,
our teenagers, they don't covet it. They don't look at it as if it's a way out. I grew up in the projects, and we were poor as dirt. But we were taught that if you want out of this project, okay, the only way you're going to get out is to educate yourself and to work hard.
Well, I think that if you really analyze what you've just said, then the way out is the key. If you don't need to get out, if there's nothing for you when you get out, then there is no motivation to use this as the vehicle to get you out. Where is the job that I'm being educated for? Where is the hope, the vision, the future for which I'm receiving the education? If the way out is through the underground economy and becoming successful in the sale of illegal drugs, then that is what one inspires to do, because that is, quote unquote, the way out. So what we need to do is inspire young people to know that the education is the new way out. And we need to fix our educational system. We need to come into the 22nd century. The old paradigms are not working.
Yes.
So we need to have a new way to educate students, and it needs to be as involved as the technologies that are available now. There's no reason why young people can't learn on their phones. I mean, literally, your whole assignment could be downloaded into the palm of your hand, and you work through your assignment, you gather the information that you need, and you send it back. But that would then be a threat to the educational industrial complex. And so change comes slowly and arduously when the change affects people who stand to lose wealth and power by said change.
Do we have a caller?
No, that's Henry.
No. Okay. Like I said, but the bottom line is there are jobs right over the city line where people are imported from all over the world, from Pakistan, India, even Vietnam.
Well, that's
To-
well,
to
but yeah, but
fulfill-
what are those jobs?
Those are high-paying technical jobs, making aircraft parts. Okay, there are young people in Hartford who don't even realize there is a Pratt & Whitney that builds jet engines right across the river.
Well, you know, once again, I'm not that I'm challenging what you're saying, because obviously it's true. But is it a crisis? All right. I mean, Philadelphia has ghettos bigger than Hartford.
True.
The whole city. All right. So when we're talking about people who are impacted by this kind of situation, we're actually talking about a very small group, and that group, because Hartford is blessed with its size, we can turn that around. All it takes is the political will, okay? It's not going to be easy to train somebody to be job ready to take a job that someone is being imported from India or Pakistan here to learn. The people coming here from India and Pakistan are at the top of their game. These aren't sloughs. They're the cream of the crop. They're very good, generally doing programming, writing code. This is the kind of stuff that really takes an immersion into a particular thing. Even running a machine or doing, because I used to work at Pratt & Whitney for many, many years. Even running a machine takes a certain skill set.
True.
And how many people will ultimately get those jobs? If we were getting ready for war and Pratt had to gear up and hire 2,000 people, then folks would have training, and there would be that would become the way out.
Because there's always, I mean, not just Pratt & Whitney, but there are hundreds of jobs that the companies out in the suburbs can't fill. We have a caller? Yes, caller, go ahead.
Hi, how are y'all today?
Hello.
This is Soup. I'm a recording artist from Hartford
Okay, go ahead, sir.
and a father at home with a child. So if you hear the baby in the background, please excuse me.
That's okay. I have small ones that would be in the background today. But
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to say that I appreciate the brother's comments, and I will be trying to mobilize my friends to support you in the campaign.
thank you very much.
All right. I just want to touch on one thing that you had said that really sparked my curiosity. You had mentioned for the young people of today. Let me turn down my television just a second.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good. Good idea.
The young people of today, you were saying that the students are afraid to compete, and I think that's very, very true. Because as a whole, you kind of see that the young people cop out to the the hard path of following an education and being successful. It's kind of easier for them. I dare say for us, because I guess I was the same way. It's kind of easier for us to see the allure of the economic underground because it is so prevalent as a way out, or just as a way to survive. Not even really a way out, but just a way to survive. The other opportunities are there, but they're just not as prevalent, and we have to keep instilling in our young people that being a rapper, being a sports star, or being a drug dealer are not the only ways for young people of color to make a name for themselves and to provide for themselves. And the gentleman also had said that by 5th grade, they kind of lose interest in the schooling system. And I think that he was very, very right about that. And that circles back around because we kind of cop out and we kind of blame it on the system because it's not really, we don't see how it's built for us to succeed. And so that's the first stage of the cop-out as far as, not really applying your whole effort to doing well in school. And you know, that's it's like a vicious cycle, and you know, I don't know how we could you know, I think it takes families and you know, community leaders like yourselves to you know, just kind of
break that cycle.
Kind of break that cycle. But you know, as individuals, I think we really got to hold our young people a little more accountable for their own actions. Like you were saying, sir, you could get your whole education on your iPhone, but people are so busy up in each other's business on the Facebook and this and that they fail to realize that all this educational you know, tools and stuff is out there. So like you say, there's no excuse for just because inner city kids or any inner city schools don't have a, you know, a certain number of you know, different diversities shipped in. There's still no reason for them to be behind.
Right.
Yes. Can I ask you
You
a
know,
question, sir?
I went to I didn't graduate because I you know, I was on a recording contract or whatever. But I went to school in Atlanta, institution called Morehouse College, and I say that to say that it's kind of the opposite as far as where you ship in you know, white students to inner city schools to kind of or, you know, whatever, break the diversity up or whatever you guys were saying. The opposite was the case when I went away to school in 1991. I had gotten educational scholarship to Tufts, Brown, and Columbia, but I chose to go to Morehouse so I could be around other African American you know, brothers who was about something and you know, trying to go that path. Like Dr. Martin Luther King,
Can I ask you a
Spike
question,
Lee,
sir?
and others like that. So I say that to say it's not necessarily all about shipping in the students from other suburbs, even though I do applaud that. I think that's definitely, you know, a step in the right direction as far as it's not going to really hurt us. But also we have within ourselves this desire to learn that once we make that popular, all the other things may kind of fall in line. You know what I mean? Because
Can I ask
like
you a
you're saying,
question,
the
sir?
economic underground is more popular than the educational path. You know what I mean?
Yeah, may I ask you a
So
question,
once
sir?
we make, I'm sorry, once we make that, you know, the educational thing popular, then that's where all the kids are gonna like, okay, that's what I need to be doing. I need to be like Holmes. He's going to Yale on a scholarship, or he's going like that's the cool guy now.
There's ways that this can be done. You know, I have a lot of different ideas and plans. You know, I've made public one of them, but we have a dynamite educational vision and operation through digital production that will literally revolutionize education in America. Literally what these people want to do. So there are all kinds of ways to do this. But I mean, to address one of the things you said, you know, America has come to a place where it's afraid to take risk.
Yes,
Everybody wants to play it safe, and rather than to make a mistake, they don't do anything.
Yes.
And that's a terrible place to be. You know, success comes because you take a risk, you take a chance. What's the worst that could happen? You could fail. And, you know, the system may not be designed for a particular person or a particular individual or group. So change the system. I mean, I'm running in a political field where by all conventional wisdom, I shouldn't even be a viable candidate. But with less than $6,000, we're pushing them back off the cliff, and we intend to win. We're going to win.
And I definitely, I have watched you for the last few years. You know, you're always doing good work in the community and with the church and stuff. And so when I flicked on the television and I saw that you were running for mayor, I was kind of like, well, you know, that's kind of obviously the next step, because we need a brother like you who's not just in it for whatever personal gain or whatever, like someone who really cares about the people in the city. Not saying that other candidates don't, but I mean, just from my personal knowledge, and from the 10 minutes I was listening to you, I can vouch that you would be a definitely a nice gamble as far as, you know, putting that next person in there.
Take the
and
risk.
seeing what they're gonna do. Yeah,
Double
take the
down
risk.
and take the risk.
Double down with the brother and take the risk. You know what I mean?
Let me ask
But
you a
definitely have
question.
great ideas, and I would like to support you and to thank you guys.
Well, you know what? Let me give you my number because Brother Herb wants to ask you a question. Take down my
Sure.
number, 944
944. I got it right here. 944
9797.
9797. Before I let you go, can I ask you one more question? And you guys actually lost signal on my cable television. I don't know if you guys still have the signal up, but I just wanted to ask you. You had mentioned about people getting people registered to vote. You had said, you know, if you can get 300 people registered, what would a person do? Say I just wanted to register a bunch of my friends. What is the protocol for registering?
Go down to the registrar's of voters office. Ask them for some voter registration forms.
Okay.
Everyone fills it out. Then you take them down to the registrar's office and turn them in. It's that simple. What you want to do, though, is once you get them, make photocopies of them. Then take the originals down there. They'll stamp them all in, and they'll mail to the new registered voter the fact that they're registered. It's that simple. I mean, you could just give them the card. They could fill it out and mail it in themselves.
Mail it in themselves. Wow,
Okay, but if you wanna register some friends and family in your block, your neighborhood, you go out, you get those things registered. You make copies of all the ones you have. Then you take them down there, and they will start calling you sir. Because you control in their minds, you know, votes.
Let me ask you a question, sir.
You know,
are you listening?
We need people to take interest.
Are you listening?
You also made a great point, man. You were saying that the people with the lowest quality of life, as far as standard of life, have the highest number of people who don't vote.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, wow, that is it's so like right in our face. Like that should be something that everyone is saying to each other. You know what
vote
I mean?
matters, and your vote counts.
Let me ask you a question, sir.
Thank you for your time, and I will definitely be in touch.
Before you go,
This is
Okay.
Before you go, we got a question for you. Don't go away yet.
Starting to cry.
Just hold on, just 1 minute.
Have a great day, sir. I will be in contact.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, here's a question for you. Here's a question for you. I was going to ask him, in young people's minds, it seems that education is a curse, and I always hear this line when they talk about educating themselves and trying to do better and get ahead. That person is trying to be white, and that seems to me, it's like the master is controlling this young man who feel that way from the grave, where he's trying to say, you know, don't be like the master, but now that slavery's over, don't try to be white by educating yourself. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, caller.
Mr. Herb Hudson, first of all, I want to address one issue to you before I get to your guest, J. Stan McCauley.
Yes.
You constantly say, and I agree with you to some degree, that many of our young people or adults don't even know what's out there. And I agree with that. You know, a lot of things I don't know what's out there. If you don't get an opportunity and you don't get prepared, then you won't know what's out there. But at the same time, a couple of years ago, you ran for president of, I believe, the NACP.
Yes.
And you had a plan.
Yes.
You didn't get elected.
Yes.
So that has made your plan not being in a position, I believe, to be implemented. Then, I believe a couple of months ago, I asked you a question about what type of businesses and industries that you would like to be able to adapt and bring into Hartford. And you said you had applied for a small business administration loan, which was rejected. That small business loan that you had applied for, or however it was rejected, has impacted many people in the neighborhoods in Hartford.
Yes.
So even if the people that you are dealing with, Mr. Hudson, don't know what's out there, don't have a plan or a clue how to get there, sometimes when certain people like yourself have tried to do things and not been in a position to get things in place, that impacts the people that you would like to have their lives impacted towards. So I think be very wise that it is true. A lot of people don't know what's out there, and they don't know how to get, those opportunities or those, resources attained. But people that are trying to run for certain positions, like you ran for the president of the NACP and you applied for a small business loan, impacts these same people many times that don't know what's out there. The only thing that I would say to J. Stan McCauley is, what type of platform, and I've been mentioning this to you many times before, that I think an economic development platform is desperately needed for Hartford. But tell the community directly, what is the timetable that you would like to be able to get the type of economic development into the city to be able to impact the high unemployment and underemployment problem that you have? And also, one last thing. I hate to say a Plan B approach. I think I asked you this one time before. But so you don't fall in the same position that Mr. Hudson fell into when he didn't be appointed president of the NACP, and he didn't get the small business loan, I guess, that I had applied for. Do you need a Plan B approach economically in case your Plan A doesn't go in order? Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I
Thank you,
guess
Johnny.
there's two Plan Bs, I would imagine. I'm going to make a dangerous assumption because we all know we don't make assumptions. However, I am assuming that your Plan A, Plan B goes to me being elected. If I'm elected and my Plan A of this media company coming to Hartford doesn't happen, is there a Plan B? Yes. The media company is the one that I am publicly speaking about because I have a high degree of confidence on the individual's ability to deliver enough that I will connect it to what I'm doing. With that, there's no 100%. I have all kinds of plans and all kinds of individuals. I am just not talking about them. That will probably be just as powerful as this one. But I'm not going to put my neck out on the line and attach them because I have very little to no control over those. All right? The other thing that would be a Plan B is, if I don't become mayor, do I have a Plan B? Well, if I don't become mayor, I won't have the political force or muscle or wherewithal to impose and bring certain things to the table like I would be if I was mayor. And what will happen is the status quo and the people that are currently in power and the plans that they have in terms of gentrification for Hartford will keep on rolling. All right? As it is, I'm going to get pushback with what I want to do. And so the political fight and the battle begins, as it should. And I'm prepared for that battle, and I think it's a battle that can be won and would be beneficial for all parties involved. Okay? And so there is no Plan B there. The Plan B, if I don't win, is that me and all the people that are standing behind me have a whole lot of different things we could be doing. Trust me.
It appears that
I've spent my personal treasury now to almost double digits. So I'm going to have to do something to get 4 years of salary back somehow. And
and you're bringing up a point that reemphasizes what you said, Herb. Don't you think that the importance of having folks aware of how simple it is to register to vote and to get their friends out there to register? It is such a simple process, and if we don't take part in the process, I always said to folks who had complaints in my neighborhood, when they started to say, well, are you registered? And say, no. Well, why not? Because if you aren't, you can't complain.
Right.
Yeah. Why complain if you're not in part of the process? So it's really important to do that and get yourself part of the process and do those kind of things that are going to have an impact on your community. Which kind of leads to the question, if I might, Herb. There is, Mothers United Against Violence is attempting to address with a two-prong approach, bringing consolation to families at the vigils as well as bringing awareness to the community of what's happening and being a prod to those in elected office to implement something that'll bring about change. I guess the question I have is, Mothers United Against the Violence is not the only organization working. Has anyone ever tried to get together some of those agencies and organizations who are interested in changing Hartford, and can they get them together and overcome their own turfdom?
I think that agencies across the city bring great opportunities and hope to the constituents that they serve. To the degree that they should work together a little bit more, I guess yes, and then no. I think more than to look at every agency as having its own little turf or as own little fiefdoms, if you will. I think what we need to do is have mutual respect for what particular agencies do. No one does what Mothers United Against Violence does. Nobody. There are people whom they could partner with, and I think you hear more and more partnership and collaboration as a means of survival because monies are so scarce and resources are so scarce for mutual survival of agencies and organizations. They have no choice but to collaborate and partner, or otherwise they're going to be fighting for the same resources. So can't we all kind of get along, so to speak? When agencies get to that place, they have evolved. A lot of people don't like to hear this, but they've evolved to a place where they're no longer necessary because their main focus is now keeping the doors open. And that ought not be the focus of nonprofits. Nonprofits are mission-driven. And as a mission-driven organization, as long as the mission is there, the rationale for the organization's existence is there. Once the mission is no longer there, the organization should pull up stakes, call it mission accomplished, and go home. What people do is they keep changing mission because this is how they eat. They're trying to keep doors open. And now it becomes no longer about the people, it becomes about the organization. They become, fiefdomish, my this, my that. Mothers United Against Violence, unfortunately, is going to have a long history because human nature comes into play. What Mothers United Against Violence does is it provides grief counseling and emergency aid to people who have been stricken by the worst type of violence.
And I think that's the point.
And that's
my question, because Hartford communities that care, Chris Farmer in our control room, as well as their director, have been really collaborating closely with Mothers United. And that's the kind of coalition building that I think is so essential in terms of addressing anything that's happening in our community, wouldn't you say?
Well, if you have mutual visions or mutual missions, then it's a natural fit that you combine. It's like the company that owns Kentucky Fried Chicken and other food. And, hey, we are all on the same track. We have mutual interests. Let's work together. And by working together, we can cut our costs down. We can reach more people. We can become more effective. And they start to coordinate and operate as one, as opposed to two separate units.
Okay, we have a caller. Yes, caller. Yes, caller, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Hudson, I did try to address one point to you, and I don't know if you had actually responded towards what I said. It was very difficult, I believe, for you to get the loan from the Small Business Administration. And I know you feel that many of the type of jobs and opportunities that's needed today is technical jobs, and a lot of our residents don't have the skills. But if you collaborate some ideas with J. Stan McCauley about the type of businesses that he would like to be able to bring into the city, I think the two of you could kind of work at a different mindset, because there is jobs in businesses that people can be trained to do that they're interested in doing. But you have to be in a position to get those type of businesses and companies into areas where people can get an opportunity to apply and prepare themselves toward.
Okay.
If you feel, as I would say, a Plan B approach to stand, if the businesses and the companies that you would like to see are not able to come in Hartford directly, I think looking at the surrounding towns would be a good Plan B. Now, I don't know if you see it the same way that I see it, but if you can't get the companies and businesses in Hartford, I don't see Windsor, where a lot of businesses has already left, a million miles away from Hartford. And at least if you get the company guaranteed as a commitment to come into the region, it still gives the residents a better chance than not having the companies at all coming into the region.
Oh, I
So
see
I
what
think
Jonathan's saying. Well,
Well, let me say this. You have hit the nail right on the head, because my Plan B or C was to talk to Mr. McCauley about trying to figure out a way to let the young people in Hartford know what is going on in the manufacturing community right outside of Hartford. And I wanted to see if we could get a film crew to go to some of these companies and show that there are men running CNC machines, whether it's machining centers, turning centers, all of the high-tech machines that we have to import people from all over the world, where people in Hartford, these young people in Hartford would love to learn. And it doesn't take a 4-year degree to learn it. It may take 4 years of training to be able to become very skilled at it, so you can reach the top of your game in the pay scale. But it doesn't take 4 years to learn how to set up a machining center and write code for it. It only takes 6 months to a year. And I was going to see if Mr. McCauley would be willing to take his film crew, and we could go out to companies that I know, and we could show young men working at these jobs, writing code, running these high-tech machines, making all types of high-tech parts. And then we could bring that film back into the school system in Hartford and show the young people, show the young people what is out there and what you only need. Very few, you don't need 4 years or 6 years, you need only 6 months to a year of education and training to be able to fit this type of job. And they would be, I know they would be excited about it. I know that they would, because when I was just getting out of high school, I had no direction to what I wanted to do until I was shown what you can do working in a manufacturing environment.
well, the short answer to the question would be, right now, Mr. McCauley is running for mayor.
And that's a very good
And
answer.
I've suspended all of my productions, for the most part, until this race is over. I mean, that's a great idea, and it dovetails into some of the things we want to do when we talk about education for the 22nd century. And we've even secured an IP address that targets just that, where you have distance learning and online learning through a very interesting and novel approach to delivering information and education. But the things that you want to do, I am familiar with, and it's a matter of the political will to get it done. These are decisions that are made at a level where someone gives a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We could train people to operate machine, or we could train people to build houses. I mean, someone makes that decision. Why can't we do both?
Okay, we have a caller. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
This is Reverend Brown. How you doing, Mr. Hudson?
Yes, how are you today?
Good, good. Listen, I hope that you guys are having a great show. I know that we were supposed to have J. Stan McCauley on, and we certainly welcome his appearance. And we want to thank our fans for watching us every day. Also, Mr. Hudson, I want you and Jack to remind us, our viewing audience, about the vigil on Sunday at 6 p.m. over at Park and Francis Street. Amen?
Yes, sir.
And just tell the people that we are behind Stan McCauley 100%, and tell Pastor Stan that I give him a call, and just tell our viewer, God bless him and we love him. This is all for me, of course, you know that. So I know you guys are having a great show, and I don't want to intrude. So God bless, and I'm looking to talk to all three of you gentlemen real soon.
Okay, thanks for calling.
God bless you, brother.
Okay, God bless you,
Brother
Reverend
Henry
Brown. Bless you for all the work that you've done in this community and made it aware to the people that we can't have this type of violence in this city. And the Mothers United Against Violence, we're out there in the streets, and we'll continue to be out there in the streets till we stop the violence in this city one way or the other.